So last time I took a stab at establishing what is some of the best maps in Killing Floor 1, and I'm really on the Killing Floor 1 kick. I've been working on a bunch of other stuff. Some should have came out today. I apologize. Stuff comes up. Life happens. So we're going to go with a little bit of an easier tier list while I put the finishing touches on the next. But we're talking about the 7 perks of Killing Floor 1. This is not Killing Floor 2, Killing Floor 1. Different stuff, different land, different everything. And we're going to talk about the best perks, the good perks, and the ones that are a little too situational. Not necessarily bad, but they're kind of mid. I think we're going to go from mid up. Now, you'll be kind of surprised because even though there's 7 perks, there's a vastly different kind of outline for being able to play Killing Floor 1. A lot of these do wildly different things, and I'm going to talk about probably the most mid right away, and a lot of people are going to be mad at me. We're talking about Firebug. Firebug, if you don't know, is flamethrowers and fire damage. They do have a very fantastic use against husks, being able to take their shots with little to no issue. It's really helpful in the later stages of the difficulty train. But when it comes down to getting good at the game, I feel Firebug is actually the hardest for newer players to get around because it's not the actual actions that Firebug takes that's really difficult. Everybody can spray and pray with the flamethrower and do well. The problem is you're making your teammates do poor. You're causing the enemies to freak out. You're causing a lot of stuff to go down. And it's not that Firebug does little damage, it's just when it comes down to some of the bigger guns that we're going to talk about, I do feel that it does necessarily not do enough damage for the bigger things to really matter. Which we're then going to add Commando and Berserker to this tier. Uh, One, Commando is in the same spot of Firebug of being what I'd considered to be just really weak killers. But there is something to be said about the Commando's abilities to rapidly headshot stuff, which does a little more damage and ultimately could bring down Gorefest a little better to get their bodies out of the way, and at the same time kill bloats in a meaningful way. That's not to say that Commando is particularly 100% better than Firebug, but I would take a Commando over a Firebug personally in most difficulties. There's something to be said about the later difficulties where I'd probably take a Firebug, but that also goes with the kind of mindset that I'm playing with a good Firebug. With a Commando, if I have a if I'm picking the weakest team member in the world for any difficulty, I'd rather have a weak Commando than a weak Firebug, just personally. It just it does a little better. It's also a way easier class, just personally. And Berserker goes here. A lot of people would be like, "Hey, this is a way better class than even some of the stuff you're going to talk about." I would personally agree in a lot of facets, especially once you get good at the game. Beginners don't actually know how to play this class. It is a tank class, is a funnel class where you're funneling all the damage onto you with a good medic. Problem, if you don't have a good medic, this class is worthless. It becomes one of the worst in the entire game. And it relies too much on other people to handle certain things. It's able to do well against Skrakes, but Fleshbounds become a troublesome spot. And surprisingly, it's husks that become the big issue for Berserker. You could quickly lose a lot of your health. You're already taking a lot of chip damage because of your tankiness, but with fire damage, it becomes a problem. That's not to say that it really deserves to be here. It just barely doesn't make the cut. I wanted to have 3 be down here, 2 in good and 2 in best, and it happens to be that Berserker is the one that didn't make it. That's also not to say that it's that much better than Commando. All these perks are really, really good. It's just if I'm to make a team of 6, in reality, you could definitely leave out the Firebug, the Commando, and Berserker and just go all 6 medics. But we'll get to that. The next one we're going to talk about, in my opinion, is Demo. Demo actually has a lot of potential. It is probably the most damage you could possibly do in a general sense. The amount of explosive damage is insane. You actually kind of do a combo of Firebug and Commando's jobs, clearing a lot of the weaker stuff, while also at the same time being great against Fleshbounds, the biggest threat to 5 of the classes in the game. Sorry, I blanked on the word game. But when it comes down to demo, they're also really good against the Patriarch specifically, with the pipe bombs doing amazing damage. Though on higher difficulties is maybe not the greatest thing in the world. The problem and why they are not in the best is because you could kill yourself quite easily, and also some stuff such as the Scrake and the Husks are very annoying for demos to deal with. But then again, they do trivialize a lot of stuff. I understand bloats are also supposed to be hard with demo, not really in this game. For some reason, I don't know why bloats just aren't an issue, but hey, whatever. But you deal with stalkers, clots, gorefast, crawlers, and of course flesh pounds, which I think specifically the crawlers for chip damage and the flesh pounds for heavy damage are the biggest clears for demo, and I think that's a great thing. Which goes into the support specialist. A lot of people would be like, "Hey, the support specialist is one of the slower classes you've already talked about. Berserker has a lot more speed, funneling system. Commando has more spread. Demo has the why is this better? Well, one, cheaper armor is not something to be completely written off, but it's mostly due to the weight system. So the weight system in Killing Floor 1 is for every other class you are locked into a weight. Support Specialist cheats it out, and you're able to get multiple guns of very high quality. If you're talking about like the Hell on Earth, you're not bringing a lot of shotguns. You're bringing a lot of weird shit that's just gonna do stuff for every situation. You're not gonna do fantastic at it, but you're gonna be able to be a utility knife, fit every single situation, and hope for the best. Plus, and this is a really important one for a lot of the later stages of difficulty and good team management, is the welding. The welding is insane on support specialists. It is the reason that they actually are up here. Otherwise, they'd probably be below Berserker, I would be fair. That's also not to say about their ability to penetrate Zeds very quickly with their shotgun spreads. It doesn't seem like a lot in the later difficulties, but it does do a lot of damage, even going through bodies. Really, really useful. Next, we're going to talk about the best, and we're going to talk about Sharpshooter. Sharpshooter is one that you're probably going to level up the fastest of almost everything besides maybe Medic. Mostly because you're going to be using the pistol on the first round when you first get the game. You're going to get a few headshots. You're going to quickly learn how to level this up, and it's a good thing it's your first one. Sharpshooter is a go-to. If we're talking about DPS, I think everybody should at least pick up a usability with. Sharpshooter is it. You can kind of ignore the mid area, and as long as you have a good sharpshooter in your back pocket, along with what we'll talk about next, the best class in the game, you're able to fill any team slot, in my opinion. Sharpshooter and Medic, which we'll just put up there just to be clear, make the backbone for what is the tank DPS combo. The Sharpshooter does the most amount of damage possible against most Zeds with headshots. Surprise, surprise. And at the same time, even though Flesh Pounds aren't necessarily a huge target for headshots, they're able to put out an amazing damage, not to the demo's capabilities, but beating out every other class. That's also not to mention they're able to stun Husks quite freely, which can really put a damper on the flame damage you're going to take. And at the same time, they're able to quickly kill a lot of the smaller Zeds, though not at the same capacity as some of the other ones below. That's probably why it's not the best in the tier. If it was a little faster of a class, I could definitely see it being better than Medic, but the damage potential puts it above here, and it just barely doesn't meet Medic's standards. And you'll be surprised, Medics are the best class in the game. One, you don't really need a Medic gun, but even if you're brand new to the game, it's freely easy to figure out. If you suck with aiming those darts, don't worry, I was there at one point. You could quickly walk up and just go ding. There you go, you're faster than everybody. You can catch up. Your armor's insane. What's not to like about the Medic? You can go with a mixed build of a Medic gun, crossbow, Medic gun, maybe some noob tube launcher. Sorry, I have the hiccups now. But overall, this is my tier list of it. Oh man, really bad hiccups. So we'll finish this up, and I can stop hiccuping into the mic. Wow, that is really awkward timing. But yeah, there's the tier list.